Sarah and Tom earn $140,000 a year together, software engineer and marketing manager. They drive used cars, they pack lunches, they haven't taken a real vacation in 3 years. They do everything the personal finance internet tells them to do. And yet, every month, by the 25th, they're checking their account balance before buying groceries. They're not failing, they're not reckless, they're caught in something most people don't even have a name for. So here's the question: why does doing everything right still feel like you're falling behind? We've been told that spending is a personal discipline problem, that if you're stressed about money, you're probably buying too many lattes or ordering too much takeout. The logic sounds airtight. Earn more than you spend, invest the difference, repeat for 30 years. Mathematically, it works. Socially, it makes sense. If you're struggling, you must be doing something wrong. But here's what that framework misses. Spending isn't just about what you buy, it's about what you're trying to solve. Morgan Housel, author of The Psychology of Money, introduces a concept that flips the entire conversation. He calls it the man in the car paradox, but the insight goes deeper than luxury vehicles. It's this: people don't buy things for the thing itself. They buy things for how they want to be perceived, for the security they think it signals, or for the life they believe it will unlock. The problem isn't that people are irrational, it's that modern spending operates in a system designed to make rational behavior feel insufficient. That realization, that's the divider between financial fragility and financial resilience. Let's go back 50 years. In 1970, the median household income in the U.S. was about $9,900. A new home cost roughly $23,000. College tuition at a public university was around $400 a year. Healthcare was expensive, but it wasn't financially catastrophic for most working families. The math was simple. You could afford a middle-class life on a single middle-class income. You didn't need to optimize every dollar. You had margin. Then, something structural shifted. Between 1970 and today, wages grew about 17% after inflation. Sounds decent until you look at costs. Housing prices grew 121%. College tuition grew over 1,200%. Healthcare costs tripled. Childcare, something that barely registered as a line item in 1970, now rivals rent in most cities. The result? The same household income buys dramatically less stability than it used to. But here's what people didn't notice. The feeling of normal didn't change. We still expect that working hard, getting educated, and being responsible should produce security. That belief is decades out of date, but it's still the operating system most people run on. So when the math doesn't work, they assume they're the problem. This is where psychology takes over. Housel explains that humans are terrible at distinguishing between wealth and the appearance of wealth. When your peers buy homes, take vacations, and upgrade their lives, your brain interprets that as the baseline, not luxury, just normal. And here's the trap. The people who look successful are often the ones drowning quietly. Let me show you what I mean with real numbers. Let's say you earn $120,000 a year. After taxes, that's about $7,200 a month. Sounds like a lot, right? Now let's subtract. Rent or mortgage in a mid-tier city, $2,400. Childcare for one kid, $1,500. Car payments and insurance, $700. Groceries, $800. Healthcare premiums and out-of-pocket, $600. Student loans, $500. Utilities, internet, phone, $300. That's $6,800. You're left with $400 for everything else: retirement, savings, clothing, repairs, social life, unexpected expenses. On paper, you're fine. In reality, you're one transmission failure away from credit card debt. This is what I call the money scope insight. The gap between perceived success and actual security has never been wider. You can look stable and feel fragile at the same time. And because everyone around you looks fine, you assume you're the only one struggling. You're not.
Think about your own life for a second. How much of your income goes to things that didn't exist as major expenses 2 generations ago? Childcare that costs as much as rent? Health insurance that doesn't actually cover the care you need? Education debt that follows you into your 40s? Internet, phones, subscriptions, small line items that add up to hundreds every month. And housing. God, housing. In 1970, the average home was 1,500 square feet. Today, it's 2,500. Sounds like progress, except you didn't choose that. The market did. Builders stopped making small starter homes because the profit margins were too thin. Zoning laws restricted supply. Investment firms bought up inventory. So now, if you want to own, you're not buying a modest 3-bedroom. You're buying whatever's left at whatever price the market dictates. And here's the psychological spiral. When housing eats 35% of your income instead of 20%, you don't just lose money, you lose flexibility. You lose the ability to take risks. You lose the buffer that makes long-term wealth possible. You start optimizing everything, cutting subscriptions, skipping dinners out, driving the old car longer. And it still doesn't feel like enough, because the issue isn't your spending. It's the structural cost of admission to a stable life. So what do? First, you stop blaming yourself for a system that shifted underneath you. Real wealth isn't about earning more or spending less. It's about building margin. Margin is the space between your income and your fixed costs. It's the buffer that lets you say no. It's the freedom to wait for the right opportunity instead of taking the first one. It's the ability to absorb surprise without panic. Housel puts it this way: the highest form of wealth is waking up every morning and saying, "I can do whatever I want today." That doesn't come from a bigger house. It comes from smaller, more predictable obligations. This is the counter strategy. Instead of chasing the appearance of success, build the structure of resilience. That means keeping your fixed costs as low as possible, even as your income grows. Prioritizing flexibility over status. Recognizing that the most dangerous purchases aren't the big splurges. They're the recurring commitments that lock you into a lifestyle you can't afford to leave. Wealth in the modern economy is boring. It's predictable. It's saying no to things that look good but quietly drain your future. And it's completely controllable. You're not behind because you failed. You're behind because the finish line moved. Once you see that, you can stop running the wrong race.
Here's what to take with you. 1. Spending isn't a willpower problem. It's a perception problem. You're not buying things. You're buying what you think those things mean. 2. The cost of a stable life has outpaced income growth for decades. If you feel like you're doing everything right and still struggling, that's not personal failure. That's structural reality. 3. Real wealth is margin. It's space. It's freedom. And you build it by rejecting the appearance of success in favor of the reality of control. The cost of ignoring this? Another decade of optimizing the wrong things. Another decade of feeling like you're failing when you're not. So ask yourself this: what would your life look like if you stopped trying to look successful and started building actual security? If this changed how you think about money, subscribe. If it clarified something you've been feeling but couldn't name, drop a comment. And if you want to keep going deeper, the next video breaks down exactly how to build that margin in a world designed to take it from you. Wealth isn't loud, it's quiet, and it starts with seeing clearly.